AI for CFOs. One of probably the biggest areas where generative AI can help within a business is with the CFO or with the finance team. So what we'll cover is, again, a quick summary on what generative AI is, what is the role of the CFO, opportunities. We'll talk about RAG or retrieval augmented generation, talk about the risks versus the productivity gains, and have a quick summary. So if we think about generative AI, or we think about artificial intelligence, we can talk about the compression of information. So if you think about reading a book, if you read one book, you take away a little bit of information or a little bit of knowledge. If you read the world's knowledge, you can probably bring away a lot more information and a lot more understanding of the world. So generative AI can allow you to consume a large amount of information, compress that information, and then have it in a usable format. It is that relationship between the world and math and finance, or the CFO team, or the CFO has a good understanding of that relationship between what the service or the product is and how it works out to be on your P&L or balance sheet. And generative AI can take multiple different inputs. So it can be like qualitative and quantitative information. It can produce outputs in the context that everyone can understand. So what is the role of a CFO? So I've sort of had four key themes that I think is probably the most important. They're a strategic partner. So they are pretty instrumental in assisting other people in the leadership team to help develop business strategies, what to look out for, what their budgets are, help them develop OPEX and CAPEX, talent development, so people development, retention, and recruitment, making sure that the person underneath them can take over their role when they're away on leave. Financial leadership, so that's more about the compliance, the risk side of things. And the one that probably is the most valuable for generative AI is the communication and collaboration. So it allows for, they are there to help translate what the dollars and cents mean to the real world and to the output of the business. So what generative AI allows is sort of the elimination of drudgery, an increase in compliance. It helps to understand new regulations a lot faster. It can generate policies and procedures. It can identify process optimization, and allows for the education and communication of financial information. So the biggest thing that we've seen so far is we go into these groups and they're optimizing processes that shouldn't exist. If you think about the tenets of the best process is no process, the best part is no part, to allow for a more streamlined and efficient workplace. It helps reduce latency. So if I make this decision as a CMO or a COO, what is the financial impact to the business? So with generative AI, it helps us create a feedback loop to tie in what's happening to these decisions. Am I increasing my gross profit, my GP, or what expenses or what costs to the business are a little bit out of control? And it allows for the education and the communication of financial information. So we've started to notice that unless you're an accountant or a financial controller or a CFO, some of these terms aren't well understood. Some of these terms or decision-making of different parts of the business don't understand the potential financial impact. So we're able to use a P&L or balance sheet and using generative AI, communicate that information straight back to the relevant people. And we do this with a technique called RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. And this helps communicate the knowledge back to the right people. So RAG combines like a large language model or a GPT model with pre-existing information. Now, that pre-existing information can be a P&L, a profit and loss, or it could be a balance sheet. And we can use the correct language in the right way to the right people to understand financial information. And this can also be tailored to the vast range of financial literacy. So for me, when I get a P&L with our system, I ask it to explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old, then I'm at high school, and then I'm at college or university. And it gives me that information in different consumable formats to help me test my understanding to make sure I'm on the right track. So that the RAG, or the retrieval augmented generation, works like that. So the user can ask a question to our AI model, and it could be, what is my GP percentage for the month of October? The AI model looks at our pre-existing information, and that could be a spreadsheet of our profit and loss. It identifies what the profit and loss question is, which is the GP on the month of October. It goes back into the model and it gives us an answer in a way that we can understand or communicate that. Now, that answer could be in the format of a graph, it could be in a word picture, or it could be in numbers. But you as a user can expand on that answer so that you can understand it in the most native way to you. So in Xero's got a great demo company. So this demo company is just set up so that you can learn to train people to know how to use Xero. But what I've done is I've just taken the P&L from here. I'll create it into a spreadsheet, and then I've taken that spreadsheet and I've put it into ChatGPT. So again, this is just the P&L for a demo company that has put in random sort of values. So I've taken it, the demo company profit and loss for the 3 months between October and December 2023, and I've put it into GPT and I've got it to do RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. So what I've done is I've uploaded it and I've asked them to graph out my sales. And ChatGPT has gone through the spreadsheet, understood what's going on, and graphed it out. And then if I don't really understand what's going on, or I'm quite naive in regards to financial information, I can start to ask it and prompt it questions to know how the impact of my decisions are impacting the business. So I've asked, what is return on my advertising? So it goes through, it looks at the total expense for advertising, looks at the total sales revenue, and then it returns a return on advertising spend, which is approximately 2.41. That means every dollar spent on advertising, the return of approximately $2.41. So again, it's helping communicate what the financial information means to what my decisions have been on in the past. I start to go into expenses. Are there any out of place expenses? And it starts to list what the expenses are and what's normal based on previous months. And then I can start to ask the GPT, do you have any recommendations or what expenses I should look to reduce? And it goes through, it tells me a process step by step of how I would think about the financial information and how I can go about reviewing, improving. And then I can go in, individually click on these expenses and sort of brainstorm ideas on the way to reduce it or different ways to sort of manage those expenses. We have like a business sort of GPT, and that business GPT is trained on all our stuff. And so the more we train it, the better it gets, the more intelligent or the greater the answers it can to our questions, because it's tailored on our practices. So in the future, all businesses will be run through this lens to be a lot more efficient, but they also have a lot better feedback loop native to the way that you communicate, to the way that your personality understands information. So one of the great products, majority of the groups that we've been working with have Microsoft as sort of their backbone infrastructure for IT. And Copilot has just come out recently by Microsoft. So Copilot is that assistant where you use your own company data. It's siloed and it's not trained on, because obviously a big concern is worrying about who has access to train on my information, because it is sensitive information when we talk about balance sheets and P&Ls. And you can select who has access. So what person within the organization can see the information that you need. And you can change the temperature setting. So temperature settings means like the warmer it is, the more creative, of which we do not want in regards to a financial sense. And the lower temperature, it's the more, this is what's on my pre-existing information. Give me back what I need as it is, verbatim. Don't try anything different, or don't make up that information. So as sort of the finance side, we've got to balance the risk versus the productivity gains. There is such thing as hallucinations. Now we can start to sort of to decrease those hallucinations by changing our temperature settings, but also we've adopted a philosophy here as trust but verify. So go through the process of using RAG to get the right information to be able to understand it, but we do spot checks to make sure that it is actually giving us the right information. And as you use this system more and you understand your financial information better, you yourself intuitively know when it's sort of a red herring or not. Also, access levels. So understand the information to the right people. Not everyone needs to know all of your financial information, but it's really important for those ones that are making those decisions that really do impact, say, your OPEX, your CAPEX, or your gross profit, net profit, so they can understand how their decisions are making an impact on the business. There is sensitive information and you can silo that information so only a few people know. Or I think we'll talk about later on in another video, is synthetic data. So it's data that looks exactly the same as what you have, but it's just a mirror copy or a chimera of what it is. And then bias. So understanding the bias that is inherent in the model in regards to the language used, or to understand what has been done in the past in regards to your financial information. We're going to a lot of companies that are doing things the way that they've always done. When using generative AI, it's actually a chance to reimagine the way that you communicate your financial information and the way that you educate the people around you. So generative AI for CFOs can be used as a tool to scale understanding and knowledge. It's to help empower your team and the leadership team to understand what's going on in the P&L or in the balance sheet. And RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, is a great tool to do that. A significant efficiency gain method. It allows people with no financial literacy or very low financial literacy to understand it in their own way. So that decreases the amount of conversations that a CFO needs, or it allows a greater feedback loop of what is happening within the business. And adopt the trust but verify. So trust information coming out of the model, but always do spot checks, use your intuition to know what is right and what is wrong.